glomerulus, how it is made, what is the structure of the glomerulus. Then we will go through the filtration process and what are the substances that are filtered, and also then we will also go through the glomerular filtration rate and the stuff like that. So we will not start in a mess, we will start step by step by just knowing the structure of the glomerulus, and then we will go through the physiology, how it actually works, and then we will see some kind of pathologies. What are some pathologies of the glomerulus? That's why we have different diseases, or the children, or the diseases in the different ages of the people are present over there. So this is one thing, and then we will also treat that how by the drugs we can treat that glomerulus. So firstly, we must have to, before starting our lecture, we must have to know about that what is glomerulus. Glomerulus is the filtering unit of the kidney or of the nephron actually. So we have got 1.2 million nephrons in one kidney, and in all about there are the 2.4 million nephrons. So every nephron is present inside our kidney, none other than the any other place there is no nephron. Do you think so that there are nephrons any other place?
No.
So how many glomeruli would be there if we have like two kidneys?
Like 2.4 million?
Okay, yes, this is the general thing, that if we have got the 2.4 million nephrons, so we will get the 2.4 million glomeruli. So before going into that detail, we must have to emphasize on one thing, that there is a glomerulus and how it is presented. Let me make a big, very big okay. Just think that this is the loop of Henle, and here we get to know about the glomerulus. Are you agreed with this glomerulus?
It looks like some intestine.
So this is the normal nephron. We have got the 2.4 million nephrons. This is the normal general thing. But before we go into that detail, we must know that this is the filtering unit of what? Of kidney or of the nephron. As far as we are concerned about the filtration process, there are some sieves. If you make a tea, you have to know that we also sieve that tea, and that sieve, that sieving unit, or that sieving stuff we have, that instrument we have, that filters the tea and the tea leaves which are present, and the remaining fluid goes down. In the same way, the glomerular works in the same fashion, that whatever that tea you have in the glomeruli, whatever you have proteins, whatever you have useful products, they will be absorbed or they will be filtered in that sieve, and then the normal filtrate which is not useful for us, it will go down, and we will go into the things that how they are filtered and what is the importance of that filtration. So you see here I have made some kind of artery. Okay, this is an artery. This is the afferent artery. Are you agreed with it? And this is the efferent artery. So afferent artery comes from the renal artery. And just imagine that this is the aorta. Okay, we are not making the diagram. I've already talked about that, how the renal artery is divided into the interlobar arteries, then aorta goes into the renal artery, then renal artery forms the interlobar arteries, then arcuate artery, then segment artery, then the interlobular arteries, and then the arcuate artery, then capillaries and stuff like that. We will not go into that. Just emphasize the thing, or just minimize the thing, that afferent artery comes from the aorta directly. So in order to learn how the pressure is important in the kidney, it will be easy for us. So first thing, the thing which we are going to discuss is that this is the afferent artery, this is the efferent artery. Here we have got the capillaries in between. So there are the two kinds of capillaries present in over here. Like it is present in the on that of the glomerulus or on that of the basement membrane, and also from this side when efferent will be gone, when efferent will be coming outside, it will also have an other group of capillaries which we call as the peritubular capillaries, and then this will go into that of the venules. So it has the two arteriolar system. You see, this is the peritubular capillary. So this is one thing. Whatever the filtrate comes over here, it will be absorbed by the peritubular capillaries and secreted the things, and it secretes the things into the proximal convoluted tubule. This is the further discussion. But to be general, to be very specified, we have to say that there are the two arteriolar systems and the two arteriolar capillaries, or the two capillaries present over there. That's why the pressure over here would be increased as compared to the others, because whenever there is an artery, the pressure is increased as compared to the venules. So this is one thing. But before going into very much minute things, we have to just understand the basic things which is present, which is forming the glomeruli. Okay, first thing we have the basement membrane, or we can say that there is the Bowman's capsule or Bowman's space. It looks like a capsule. So this thing is forming the Bowman's capsule. Before the Bowman's capsule attaches with that of the capillary, we have the basement membrane. Everything has the basement. So it is not directly connected with this capillary. We have some kind of the basement membrane. How the basement membrane is formed, with which material and what it is, we will go into the things later on. Here is the capillary. Okay, present over there. In between these capillaries, we have got some very important structures which forms the connective tissue. These are that mesangial cells. Mesangial cells are very important. They have many important functions to perform. Mesangial cells are present in between the capillaries, which are present within that of the glomerulus. Like the glomerular tuft is formed. How the glomerular tuft is formed? By having these capillaries, by having this basement membrane and the Bowman's capsule, we have got here the glomerular tuft, forming the whole these structures. So mesangial cells is also a very important thing which is being formed by the mesangial cells are forming the mesangium. How mesangium is formed? By the connective tissue, and also the product of a lot of the connective tissue. Along with that, there are also the connective tissues. So the connective tissue along with the mesangial cells forms the mesangium. Okay, so mesangium has very important functions to perform. We have got the 4 important functions. First would be, what do you think? No idea? First would be clearance. Clearance of the GBM, glomerular basement membrane. It will clear the glomerular basement membrane whatever there is the stuff which is not important for the nephron to have it over the time over there, that it removes that thing, and how it engulfs that by the process of phagocytosis. So it phagocytoses the unwanted material over there. Okay, this is the second thing. Now what would be the third thing? The third thing is that it secretes the interleukin 1 and also the plasma derived growth factor. Okay, the platelet derived growth factor. So it secretes interleukin 1 and platelet derived growth factor. So whenever there is the injury or whenever there is the basement membrane absent, it acts as the temporary support for that. Okay, so there would be another function of the mesenterium which would be the support. So if there is any kind of injury, you see, for example, the basement membrane is injured, we have got here any kind of injury, so it will be leaking out each and every proteins over there. So we don't want to excrete, or we don't want to expose it to that of the filtrate. So mesenterium comes over here and acts as the temporary formation over there. So this is the way mesenterium is providing support to us. And also the thing is that it also proliferates due to the reason that if you got any kind of the injury, so how injury develops. For example, in this part of the membrane there is the injury, and afterwards there will be injury over here, and then here, and then here. So it also proliferates to compensate that thing. So mesenterium has a very important function to perform. Okay, you got that? Now this is the mesenterium or the mesenterial cells present in that of the you can say within that of the capillaries and within that of the glomerulus or the things. Okay, so this forms that. Now this is the epithelium. Okay, so how these epithelium cells are these are present over there. This is not just the normal epithelium that we are thinking. There are thousands of fenestrations in that. How they are the fenestrations? Like for example, you have got one cell here, you have got a second cell here, you have got the third cell here and the fourth cell here, and in between that you see there are the fenestrations. Why there are the fenestrations? To pass the stuff that we are filtering. The plasma cells from here, you see, our blood is made up of the plasma and cells. Plasma is just the fluid, okay? And so what is the difference between the plasma and the interstitial fluid?
Like they call proteins?
Yes, there is the difference that the plasma has the plasma means that you have the fluid
With proteins.
plus proteins, but interstitial fluid does not have the proteins. So this is one thing. So in the blood we have got the plasma and the cells. So whatever you think, the plasma is filtered, but you see the cells are not filtered due to the reason that it does not have that much big fenestrations to pass the cells, to pass the RBCs, to pass the WBCs, to pass the platelets. So fenestration is 70 to 100 micrometer, but this is very minute, size is present over there. So let me write over here that what is the size of the fenestration. There could be 70 to 100 micrometer. So there are thousands of fenestrations over there, 70 to 100 micrometers, but you see the cell size is greater than that. Okay, so that's why you can say that the cells will not pass through it. But if you get any kind of injury over here, the fenestrations would become broader, and when they become broader, you see that the filtration, that the plasma proteins will also pass through it. When the plasma proteins passes through it, then this will come through which there passes. First is glomerular capillaries. Glomerular capillaries, in which what is the important thing is fenestrations. How many fenestrations? Thousands of fenestrations of the size
70 to 100
nanometer, exactly. Then the second important structure is basement membrane. Basement membrane. So what is the important function of the basement? The importance of basement membrane. What is the important thing to remember in the basement membrane? It is the collagenous matrix. Is it okay to you?
Yes.
Collagenous matrix. And the third thing which is important to remember in this lecture is that the third is the podocytes. And the podocytes have what? Filtration slits. And even the filtration slits and also the nephrins to remember. So this was about the three anatomical structures of the glomerular apparatus, which is the glomerular capillaries having fenestrations in the basement membrane, having the collagenous matrix and the podocytes, and the filtrations and the nephrins. So before closing our lecture, ending up our lecture, we have to summarize this thing. We started from the thing. You get that? The whole thing. Okay, now we will summarize the thing. Firstly, we were talking about that from the heart there goes the aorta goes, and from the aorta we have got the branch of the renal artery, and then the renal artery is divided into the interlobar arteries, and then segmental artery, interlobular, and the stuff like that. So to minimize that thing, we can say that there are the capillaries which will go into the glomerulus. Okay, which will pass into the glomerulus, and this system has the higher pressure due to the reason that there are the two arteries present over there and one venule is present in there. All over the body there is no such kind of system, but here in the kidney there is presenting. Okay, so there would be the pressure would be high as compared to the other areas. So the pressure here would be like from 128 goes, it decreases and it decreases and it becomes the 20 millimeter of mercury. We will go into that detail further on, but here to the thing that in the blood there is a plasma and the cells. Okay, and the plasma will be filtering and the cells are not filtering due to the reason that we have got the glomerular filtration barrier. So the barrier is the thing which will not allow these cells to come downwards. This is one point, that only the plasma will be filtered, not the cells. One point. Second is that from the efferent arterioles they will go to the efferent arterioles. The flow would be from efferent to efferent. What are the important structures present in the glomerulus? Which would be the these are the capillaries, and in between the capillaries there is the mesenterium. How the mesenterium is formed? Mesenterium is formed by the mesangial cells and also the mesenterium and also the connective tissue. Both of these will be forming the mesenterium, and there are 5 important things about the mesenterium which are they performing. One thing is that it causes the clearance of the GBM, whatever the stuff which is not used, just like a wiper, and it acts over there like that. The second thing is phagocytosis. If unwanted material has been presenting over there, it will phagocytose that and engulf in there and dump it over the things. Second, it also secretes the interleukin-1 and the platelet-derived growth factor. So why the platelet-derived growth factor is important? Platelet-derived growth factor is important for the thrombus formation, not the thrombus formation but for the coagulation. Okay, so that is the reason that we are and for the growth we also need that. So it will secrete, and if what happens is that if your basement membrane is not proper, if it is injured due to some of the reasons, it can also act as a temporary basement membrane, or it can also support that structure so that it may not damage further on. Then it may also be proliferating. So this was about the thing which is presenting in the mesenterium or the mesangial cell. This whole, the capillaries and even the mesangial cells which are presenting in between, we call it the mesangial or we call it the glomerular tuft. So tuft means that the whole things together present. So there would be the glomerular tuft. So up till now we have been discussing about the only plasma is filtering. Now we talked about the glomerular tuft. Okay. Now moving further on, we describe step by step about this structure, which are the capillaries, how the capillaries are formed, and what is the structure. Second, we talked about the basement membrane. Thirdly, we talked about the Bowman's capsule. So going on to the thing that capillaries have fenestration, thousands of fenestrations, and how many fenestrations would be all together? It is just for the sake of the thing that you have 1.2 million nephrons. So you have one glomeruli, so it would be 1.2 multiplied by 1000, so it would be increased by that. Okay, so there would be the size would be 70 to 100 nanometer, and it will lead to the crossing of some of the particles which are less than 70 kilodalton, and if it is increased than that, which is albumin, globin, and throughout the lecture I have been telling you this. By now you must remember that they will not cross on. Now the thing is that once they have been crossed over there, these are the endothelial cells of the capillaries. You get that? Everywhere there are, but here the fenestrations are increased. Just like the thing that you have the sieve. You see, when you filter the things, if they are the sieve, you can filter the stuff over there. Second is the basement membrane. You have the basement membrane formed of the collagenous material, and the collagenous material, if it is improper, if it is not proper, like due to any defect, for example you have hereditary defect of this, then you will lead to the disease called as the hereditary nephritis, in which there is a defect in the alpha helix, and also this would lead to the defect in the glomerular basement membrane. So it will not filter properly, either it will filter more or it will not filter at all, due to the reason that if there is supercoiling over there. Second is that, for example, you have got something let me discuss another disease which is known as the Goodpasture syndrome, in which there is the antibodies formed against the glomerular membrane. Okay, then antibodies are formed and they will destroy this glomerular membrane, which will lead to the hematuria, cause now blood can also pass, and also the proteinuria, cause the proteins can also pass through it. So if the Goodpasture syndrome is there, it means that it must be also in the alveoli and in the lungs, and there is also basement membrane presenting, and it will also destroy them and will lead to the hemoptysis in the blood in the sputum. So this summarizes what about the basement membrane. We have talked about the endothelial cells of the capillaries. We have talked about the basement membrane. Now we will go through the Bowman's capsule. In the Bowman's capsule, what happens is that you have got the filtration slits. Filtration slits means that you have the interdigits, and from the interdigits the fluid can pass through that. So there are the parietal epithelial cells and the visceral epithelial cells. Both are present. Parietal means that they are away, and the visceral means towards the basement membrane. Filtration slits are less than from 16 to 30 nanometer. There would be the things that even the minute to minute things can pass from this area. So podocytes also have got the nephrins, which are acting as a glue or retrieving them together, and if it is defective, this will lead to the minimal change disease, which is the loss of the nephrins. It will lead to the proteinuria, because proteins can pass through it. It can be primary, it can be secondary. In the primary, it could be the recurrent infections. There could be, you can say that cytokines would be destroying the membrane, or there would be immunizations. Or secondary, there would be caused due to the cytokines, like T cells produces the cytokines. Secondary would be caused by that. So there are some kind of the laboratory findings in which we will see the recruitment, or you can say the effacement of the podocytes on the electron microscope. Or the second thing, you can also see that there will be proteinuria, and there will be hematuria. Mostly, hematuria is a big thing, so you can just say proteinuria, or specifically that is albuminuria. So this is important thing, but there is no immunofluorescence seen on the microscopically you cannot see, and steroids are very effective or good to this disease. So this was the thing about the minimal change disease. And now further on we talked about the glomerular filtration barrier. There are the two barriers, which is the charge barrier and also the size barrier. If the size is increased, then you cannot cross. If the size is decreased, you can cross. And about the charge, if it is positively charged, you can filter more and more and more. And if the filtration if the filtrate that is been if the blood that is passing by, it has the more negative charges in it, or the particles having which are present in the blood, they are negatively charged, then the filtration rate is so much decreased, because the basement membrane is actually negatively charged. So this is one thing. Now we see, by summarizing the thing, that we have got the three anatomical structures presenting that acts as a barrier between the blood and the filtrate, and then what comes the urine. So which is the first one would be the glomerular capillaries, which we talked about here, that the fenestrations and the stuff like that, and second is the basement membrane, and the third is the Bowman's capsule. So in this lecture we were revolving around is these three things, like what is the capillaries, how there is the basement membrane, and how the Bowman's capsule is presenting over there. Okay, so this is only the structure of the glomerulus, how it is going, how the pressure built artery and the renal artery which will be going, and it will form what? It will form the glomerular capillaries. Okay, then we discussed about that we have got the basement membrane in between these two things, which is made up of the collagenous material, and then we have got the Bowman's space. Okay, so we have got the capillaries, we have got the basement membrane, we have got the Bowman's capsule. Are you agreed with it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the capillaries and this is the nephron. So today the basics of our lecture would be its mechanism, how the blood comes and how there is the filtration. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the main important thing. Now we are going to discuss about the glomerular filtration rate. What? Glomerular filtration rate, which comes from what thing?
With how much blood is filtered in 1 minute?
This is the glomerular filtration rate. It means that how much filtrate or how much the filter is passing through the glomerulus in a minute. Okay, per minute how much fluid is passing through it. So this is the glomerular filtration rate. If the blood pressure is increased, it is increased. If the blood pressure is decreased, it is decreased. There are so many theories, there are so many things regarding to that. So normally there is the glomerular filtration rate is 120 millimeter of mercury. How is that, and why? What are the fluctuations in that? How it increases, how it decreases, and what are the important things? We will discuss the thing. Okay. Glomerular filtration rate, we wrote it on the board. Now we will see how it is going through that. You see, like the normal blood pressure is 120 millimeter of mercury, which comes from the general circulation, and 25% of the general circulation, or 20%. Somehow some of the books write it 25% and some of the books write it to the 20%. So 20% of the filtrate of the blood comes over here. In that 20%, for example, 20% would be the thing which comes from the heart. Okay, so heart provides 20% here, 20% to the other organs, 20% to another organ, or 20% to another organ. It depends upon. Okay, are you getting that? And 20% comes over here. Agreed? So from here, the 20%, now it becomes 100% of the organ. You see, like 20% the heart is sending, but we can say that you get the 100% of the renal stuff. For example, you are getting your equal amounts of the wages. Like there is a government distributed. It will distribute to each and every province. There are 4 provinces. It will distribute the budget to the 4 provinces. But the province will get the 100% of its amount. Like if province has to have some of the amount, it will get the 100%. Regardless of the thing that government gave 20% to each and every province, but still you will get 100% of your thing. Okay, of your you can say that whatever you can call it. So you that thing, that 100 will be divided into two further things. Like there would be 60% plasma and there would be 40% cells. Are you agreed with it? Plasma and cells, because blood is made up of plasma and cells. Cells of RBC cells, WBC cells, platelets, or whatever it is. Okay, and the plasma includes the plasma proteins. Okay, plasma includes the plasma proteins, which are the like albumin, globulin, dextran, each and every like that different proteins. We will not go into that detail. So 40% cells and 60% plasma. So plasma cannot go further on. Cells cannot be filtered. So cells will be passing. Okay, why I wrote it downwards? Let me write it on the upside so that you can not confuse it. Okay, cells are 40% and plasma is
60%.
Okay, now this 40%, this is going straight here. You see, the cells will not, the cells have no concern to go downwards. Okay, and even the plasma is divided into plasma proteins and the fluid part. Plasma proteins also don't have to do with something with the filtrate. Okay, the only thing which would be passing through is
Fluid.
The fluid, and it depends what the fluid has to excrete. Okay, this is the thing. So how much this filtrate is passing through the Bowman's capsule, through the whole glomerulus per minute, how much fluid is present over here, why the fluid I made circular, how much fluid is present per minute over here would be called as glomerular filtration rate. Okay, so whatever here comes now, whatever you send that fluid into this area, regardless of the cells, regardless of the plasma proteins, only the filtrate would be present over here. We call it the
filtration
rate. Filtration rate means that what is the rate? Filtrate means that water or that fluid. Okay. So in the renal physiology or the glomerulus, you see, here would be the filtration. There are three ways for the excretion. There is the filtration. Okay, there is reabsorption and
secretion.
And what about the excretion?
Excretion is the filtrate and secretion going into
filtration happens in the glomerulus, so we will talk about the filtration today. But what about the reabsorption? It would be reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule. And what about the secretion? It would be from the peritubular capillaries to the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, into the lumen of that. So you will see that thing. So filtration, along with that of the secretion, or you can say filtration minus reabsorption, including secretion will give us the excretion. So this is the important thing for you. So this is the filtrate presenting over here in this area. This is a normal thing, but how this is regulated? This is regulated by the two important things, which is net filtration pressure okay, and that the second is coefficient. Right.
Can we call the net filtration pressure the blood pressure?
To some extent, yes. Net means together, all together. Okay, and then okay. Let me just remove this confusion to you. Net filtration means that how much the filtrate is going and how much this membrane is not allowing that filtrate to come outside. Okay, normal blood pressure means whatever is happening here. Okay, but and whatever the heart is pumping. But here the filtration, net filtration pressure means that regardless, here comes each and every part of that blood pressure from the heart. There is also a pressure applied against to that. Okay, against that blood pressure, so that the filtrate cannot come out. So these two things all together will make the net filtration pressure. Okay, this is one thing. So now, net filtration pressure would be by the two things. But before going into the two things, let me make it a clear picture to that. Let's not make basement membrane now, okay? Because we've talked about it. Now, what happens is that the blood pressure that has been coming over here with the same pressure, this pressure will allow the fluid to move in this direction. Is it okay?
Yes.
There would be the pressure that is coming from the back fluid, like more and more blood is coming and more filtration would be there. This is the normal physiology. Is it okay to you?
Yes.
Like if the blood pressure is increased, for example, if it is 120, then it can be glomerular filtration rate will be increased. But if the filtration pressure, if the blood pressure is decreased, for example, it is 100, for example, it becomes 90. What would happen? That the glomerular filtration rate would be decreased. It just directly depends upon that how much the blood comes, what is the blood pressure of the kidney, of the like whole general circulation. If your blood pressure is high, glomerular filtration rate is high. If the glomerular filtration, if the blood pressure is decreased, the filtration would be decreased. Okay, this is the general thing. So what happens is this pressure which causes the filtration, we call it hydrostatic. Hydrostatic. Why we call this hydrostatic?
Because the pressure of the fluid.
Okay, hydro means water and static means stasis. Okay, so regulation. So water regulation. It means hydro means fluid. So it means that how much the blood pressure has been coming. It's not about the proteins. It's not about anything. It's just about the blood pressure which is coming normally to that of the kidney. Okay, this is one thing. And now here is another thing, which is that what is the hydrostatic pressure along with this way. Okay, there are the two ways. Like here there is pressure something, and here after filtration, here filtration is done. So what would be the pressure over here now? Here the pressure would be decreased. But the concentration of the proteins would be increased. Like here the plasma, proteins and fluid at this moment. Okay, you see, at this moment your plasma and protein, for example, you took a cup, in that you get partial the plasma and also you have got the proteins. Is it okay?
Yes.
Now here on this side, after the filtration, what would happen? That here the fluid would be decreased, but the proteins would be increased. So the concentration of the proteins would be increased. Okay. So what is the importance of this thing? This is a very important phenomena. Like these plasma proteins are holding the fluid, and this is the one is the pressure that is formed by this way, like by the normal general circulation, which is the hydrostatic pressure. The second pressure is the oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure, which is by these plasma proteins which are holding them not to leak out. Okay, they are holding them not to leak out. So here are also plasma proteins, or in the whole, like here, everywhere there are plasma proteins. But what happens is they are holding them together not to go out. Okay, are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say?
So how fluid gets filtered through this if plasma proteins are holding it?
Okay, listen. There is the normal balance between these two, that how much the fluid has to be filtered. The amount which the glomerulus wants. The nature has divided this balance. Like the hydrostatic pressure, the pressure causes the backflow, like the push, go out. Here there is the opposing force, which is the thing that it is holding. One is sending it to the glomerulus, and the other is holding not to go out. Okay, so this is the thing. But the thing is how it can go out. There are some filtration favoring forces, there are some filtration opposing forces. Okay, there are two filtration opposing forces and two filtration favoring forces. So here is the oncotic pressure. You see, the oncotic pressure will hold the fluid over there.
So it's opposing force.
It's opposing force. Hydrostatic pressure would be the favoring force for the filtration. Are you getting my point? So this will cause the filtration. This is filtration favoring. It says, okay, do filter. But this is not allowing. So this is filtration opposing force. So it is not, these particles are not allowing the fluid to come downwards. So this is filtration opposing forces. Here the two forces are there, hydrostatic pressure and oncotic pressure. Okay, hydrostatic pressure present over here is 50 millimeter of mercury. Okay, there is the thing. This is one thing. And what we can say that how it becomes 50 we will see in a bit further on. But to up to now, some of the extent we can say that here is the oncotic pressure also present over there, which is holding this thing. Now here comes the thing that there are also some of the oncotic pressure present over there. You see, and here is also the hydrostatic pressure present over there. Fluid is also present in this area, isn't it?
Yes.
So there is also hydrostatic pressure. So here we can say that the hydrostatic pressure is also presenting over there, which is equals to 10 millimeter of mercury. It is less due to the reason that this is far away from the aorta. Okay, the pressure whenever the resistance is increased, okay, the pressure also like decreases. There are series resistors, there are parallel resistors. We will talk about that, how nephrons are that related that. But here, there is 120. When it comes down, there is 50 millimeter of mercury. When it further comes down, it is 10 millimeter of mercury. So you see, hydrostatic pressure decreases over here. One thing that. So here the hydrostatic pressure is not allowing that to go it is not allowing that. It is just pushing it to the back. It is saying that okay, further on there is pressure. It is throwing it to the backwards. Okay, whenever here comes the fluid, it has to some extent it will send the signals, or not the signal actually, it is sending the pressure to the backflow. Okay, so this hydrostatic pressure is 10 millimeter of mercury present over there. So it is an opposing force or it is a favoring force?
It's opposing.
It's opposing force. For sure it is an opposing force. Okay, let not me write over here. I'll write it in the further way. So here on this side there is also oncotic pressure. Okay, there is also.
No, but isn't oncotic pressure present inside that of Bowman's capsule?
There is oncotic pressure present over there, like oncotic pressure. So oncotic pressure is present over there, but this is equals to 0. Why? Any idea? Any guesses? Oncotic pressure means the pressure of the protein, pressure formed by the proteins. So I told you that this cannot cross the proteins. It cannot lead the proteins to come in this side. So yesterday when I was talking about the lecture, you see I talked about that the proteins which are greater than 70 kilodalton, they cannot cross. So if there is no proteins, like according to that, only 1 or 2 proteins would be presenting if it is the healthy kidney. Okay, so there would be minimum of the proteins. Like by chance, if the protein is came here, so it could be like that. Books write it 10 up to 10 millimeter of mercury, up to 5 millimeter of mercury. But we will write it for the sake of easiness. We will write it 0 because there are no proteins present over there. Due to the reason it cannot let the proteins to come here. It wants the proteins to go to save the proteins. That's why filtration is happening. Are you getting? Okay. Let me tell you about the thing. I talked about that there is the plasma. There are plasma proteins and fluid. Only fluid can come here. Plasma proteins are not coming here.
But plasma proteins are not letting fluid to come in.
This is one thing. That it is not, they are not allowing the proteins to come here. But okay, let me give you an example. For example, this is a jug. Just for the sake of the example, I'm telling you. This is the fluid. Okay. This is the fluid present in this. But we have just only 4 proteins. This will hold this, this will hold this, this will hold this fluid, this will hold this fluid. This is just for the sake of, we can say an example. So what about these fluids? Like, it's not everywhere, solutes are less than the solvent. So here the solvent is greater and solutes are less. Okay, every time here, it's not like that if you have 1000 particles of water, then you have the 1000 particles of sodium. Okay, so it's about that like solutes and solvent is in the minimal range. Just think about that this is the solute and this is the solvent. For example, this is the water and this is any kind of the plasma protein. Okay, or this is the plasma, this is the plasma proteins. They will hold these things. That is the oncotic pressure. Okay, let me write it from the black so that you cannot confuse with the colors. Okay, this is the oncotic pressure that is holding fluid. Okay, this is the hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure means how much they are coming. This is the hydrostatic pressure. But oncotic pressure is okay, but still these cannot be held by the plasma protein, so they will go out. So this is the opposing force, but there there is a push from backwards. So this is the favoring force.
So hydrostatic pressure must be greater than that of oncotic pressure.
Yes. So that's why we are saying that here the oncotic pressure. Here the oncotic pressure is 30 millimeter of mercury. So that's why there is a difference between 50 and 30. So 50 is greater, the fluid comes out. Now this is one thing, okay?
And 10 is that inside hydrostatic pressure.
Inside, there is the hydrostatic pressure present over here.
So opposing force is 40 mm of mercury.
Yes, exactly. Like opposing force would be net filtration. We will go into the further details in a bit. But still, I just wanted to clear what is the oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure means the plasma, like the plasma holding that plasma